Hello everyone, this is a slightly different video to usual because today I'm going to be doing some commentary over top of the footage here. Footage was taken at Gridline Indoor Karting in Lincoln, very much my most local track apart from PFI, which is, as you can probably tell, a slightly different experience to this. I've not done a lot of indoor karting recently. I've just been mainly doing sort of BUKC Club 100 stuff, so going back to this kind of thing is a lot of fun. Sending it around the outside of this guy. It's always sort of a lot different to outdoor because the driving style is a lot different. You know, you've got less grip, sliding around, and you can just be a bit more aggressive throwing the kart about. Basically, I've just cut together some of my overtaking moves over the two 15-minute sessions we did. I think there's like 6 of us on track. And yeah, enjoy. So at this point we are chasing down Ben, who is one of my friends who I went with. He was probably about half a second, I think by the end of the session, half a second a lap slower than me, his best time. And at this point I don't think he actually knew I was behind him, but as soon as he notices I'm there, my man just goes uber defensive. I think this is right at the beginning of the session as well, so there's not a huge amount of grip. You can probably tell under braking we're sliding around quite a lot and maybe missing the odd apex, but there we go. He knows I'm there now, and now he's just going to park his kart on the apex of every single corner, as you'd expect. And I'm looking around the outside here, but he pulls it back, fair play, parks it on the apex. Have a little look into turn 1, but there was really no move to be had there. It's just far too tight. This top section of the circuit is probably the area with the least amount of grip. If you just kept going flat, you'd really get the rear end of the kart out. And at this point I was just trying to slingshot it round, but once again, he's driving well defensively. He just knows where to keep the kart, because at a circuit like this, realistically, a little bit of contact there under braking, nothing to worry about. At this track like this, you can be slower than the person behind you, but if you just drive really defensively, because of the way these tracks are in terms of width, you just can't get past. But there we go, nice little send, and wow, little celebration there as well. I was just trying to irritate him at this point, to be honest. And now chasing another guy. This guy in the grey hoodie, wow, he turned out to be a complete maniac. I think he was alright at this point in the first session, but you'll see later on in the video he just goes mental. Oh, a little switchback there. But he's just throwing the kart around like a maniac, and then eventually it goes really quite downhill with this guy. But anyway, coming up to this other guy who seems to be going quite slow. At this point I'm already angling a send, but he goes to the inside, and again, just easy switch back. One other strange thing about Gridline is that they don't actually make wearing race suits mandatory. So as you can see at this point, I'm wearing my race gloves and everything, and my helmet, but I'm just wearing trackies and a t-shirt, which is quite a strange feeling at first, but it's actually quite nice, to be honest, although you do end up with clothes that stink of petrol. But anyway, catching up with this guy who looks like he's going defensive, but nah, the door's wide open and it is sent down the inside of probably the slowest corner on the track. They actually changed the layout of the track recently, and now you've got these last 3 hairpins, which are a bit technical but good fun. And now we've got a high closing speed on this guy here. Goes a little wide up the top and leaves the door open for me to just slide right through. As indoor tracks go, it's very good. It's right up there with a lot of the team sports, which are sort of the biggest company that do indoor karting in the UK. I've been to the most recently Nottingham Team Sport, which is decent, but again, I think this is better because you've got the dual layer as well, the 2 floors, and it's just a nice flow in, relatively quick but quite challenging indoor circuit. So yeah, I would recommend definitely. I think I might be coming up again to Grey Hoodie Man here, who we've already established is well, he turns out to be the Pastor Maldonado of indoor karting. And just look at the leaning like he's Valentino Rossi right now. And he's just really not in control of that kart. There's nothing I could have done there. He just parks the kart in the middle of the circuit. And at this point I think I'm like, right, I need to proceed with caution, because he doesn't really know what he's doing. But ultimately the send is there. He tries to turn in, but nah, I'm already past. Sliding around the top section once again here. And this is actually quite a difficult little braking zone, bottom bit here, because you're turning whilst you're braking. But ideally you want to be locking up the rear to get that rotation, but you don't want to do it too much. or you're really bogged down on exit with these karts that just chug along. Looks like I'm lining up for another send, and boom, the send is full, and it is complete. And now coming back up the hill into the low grip slidey top section. We've got a guy missing that apex and running very wide, and the gap is there. It's not a corner I really overtake on very often, but if someone goes wide at the top, it's nice to get through while you can, because it's actually quite difficult to dive bomb into that tight hairpin that comes next. And now at the start of the second session we did, following Ben again, who has seen me there, but he has not covered me off, and I got a good run out the hairpin, and I'm down the inside into turn 1. Meaning the next man in my sights is Pastor Maldonado, and I will just mention that's why I'm warming up my tyres like a maniac, because there is very little grip when you get into the new kart and the tyres are cold and it's not been run. It does feel very understeery, especially when you're used to driving a kart that's just been, you know, fully warmed up. Pastor Maldonado there, almost hitting someone at that hairpin, and goes a bit too slow, and I hit him. And at this point, got a little train of 4 karts, and I get past here, this little gap, and he decides to just turn in on me. And I'm thinking, get out of the way. But yeah, that confused me a little bit. No idea what he was doing there, but this is really where it started to go downhill, because in this session the man was a maniac. And I've got Ben right behind me now pressuring me, because I've been slowed down so much by Pastor Maldonado and his friend. Ben hits me from behind in a second and pushes me straight into Pastor Maldonado, which presumably made him very angry, and he does, well, he gets his revenge later on, as you'll see. At this track, that was enough to bring out yellow flags, which, again, at this track in particular, means you have to come to a complete stop, which we did while they retrieved him from the wall. And now we're just coming up to another driver at the back hairpin, and he's gone in very deep, and I've just been able to come up alongside him, and I've got the inside line round here. So yeah, nice easy little move. And now I'm really gaining quite fast on this guy on the top section. You can hear the tyres screaming there, and he goes a little wide, and a bit of contact once again there from me. And he's gone very, very deep, and makes it relatively easy for me to just swing it around the outside of him. Now approaching this back hairpin again, just watch how much lock I have to apply just to get the kart to rotate properly and to cooperate. I know I do have quite an aggressive driving style when it comes to steering input. It's quite a lot of movement, but regardless of that, it's always interesting, I find, coming back to a 4-stroke kart like this Sodi RT8 when you're used to 2 strokes like the Club 100 karts, and realising how much harder you have to work these karts to just get them to hook up and to do what you want. Whereas in a 2-stroke, whilst they are harder to drive and they're a lot faster, you just have to do a lot less to get them to move in the way you want them to. And in a way, these can be a bit more tiring to drive even though the forces you're experiencing are far less. Anyway, coming up to this guy now, he was pretty much the quickest out of the 4 guys who came as a group who weren't with Ben and I. As you can tell by how long it's taken me to get past him, he's probably about a second a lap slower than me, I think, by the end of the session, his fastest time. And as I say, you can tell just, he knows what he's doing. His lines are relatively neat. But he does make quite a big mistake here. He goes very deep, opens up the switchback for me, and I just squeezed through on the inside. And I know he's going to yield at this point because he's got nowhere to go. He's got no track position coming into this hairpin. And now once again we are following the great and powerful Pastor Maldonado. And I just want to get past him as soon as I can at this point, just to avoid any contact. And I'm through at this point, nice and clean, and he just decides to ram into me after the checkered flag as well. I still just hang it around the inside despite him squeezing me, get through eventually. But instead of letting this go, he decides to try and end my career. Now, obviously I wasn't too happy about this, as you can probably tell. Yeah, a bit of a bizarre ending to the session, really. Just to illustrate to you just what kind of a strange man this was. After the session, he left the building with his balaclava still on, which is just psychotic. Anyway, thank you so much for watching today. I know it's a bit of a different video format. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, I hope to see you in the next one as well. Thank you.